All right, so you know I get really excited about, well, teaching pretty much anything to do with math and doing math, but I'm so excited about this video. I'm going to go over why and how we can factor things of the form ax squared plus bx plus c. So trinomials when the leading coefficient is greater than 1. And I'm going to show you the answer first. This says to factor 6x squared minus 7x minus 20. This is the answer, 2x minus 5 times 3x plus 4. And you might say, well, oh, okay, cool, but how do you get there? And what I want to show you first is that what you cannot do is you can't say what numbers multiply to 20 that add to 7 whenever you have a leading coefficient, that's the coefficient of the x squared term, that is greater than 1. Why is that? So why can't we use our trick from before? Well, here's why. Let me show you the answer. Let's FOIL it out. When I multiply this out, I get 2x times 3x. That's a good start. That's 6x squared. That's first. And what you're noticing is to check our answer, we FOILed just like in the past. Then we do outer. 2x times 4 is plus 8x. Inner, negative 5 times 3 is negative 15x. Last, negative 5 times 4 is negative 20. Pay attention to that last part right there. That last part was negative 5 times 4. The factors of 20 that we multiplied are not what we got out here in the outer and inner terms. And so we can't say what factors combine to give us 20 that add up to that middle number because the negative 5 and 4 are not showing up here. And why are they not showing up there in the outer and inner parts? Because we multiplied 4, that factor, by 2 to get 8. And we multiplied this 5 by 3 to get negative 15. So those original factors that were 4 and 5, they don't stay 4 and 5 when multiplied when we have a leading coefficient that is more than 1. Because the only way to get this number to be 6 is if one or both of those numbers are not 1. Right? You can't do 1 times 1 and get 6. So, sorry, but the first thing you have to accept is we can't do it with the old way. So then what do? Well, there's many techniques out there. Your teacher might have taught you something called slide and divide. Some other people do a variation of what's called factoring by grouping with this, but they never actually get explained why it works. They just are told how. I use a very organized guess and check method that essentially has you foiling again and again and again. It will eventually get you very quick at this, but it takes some practice. And I know that it sets you up really well for mathematics at later levels because it's going to practice your foiling and get you stronger at it. All right, so let's use this technique. So how do we do this problem then going forwards? Well, now that I've shown you why our old method doesn't work when that first term is more than 1, let me show you what does work. We're basically looking at factors of A and factors of C. And then we're going to use those to plug in and guess and check. So what I'm going to suggest that you do here, peeps, is, and I guess, you know what, let's list out the factors of A, and then I'll put some parentheses there. I'm suggesting you use a pencil to do this, or something with an eraser, like I have. And that's because we're guessing and checking here. So what are the factors of A, of 6? Well, the two factors that could combine to give us that are x and 6x, so that would be 1x and 6x, or 2x and 3x. Those are the only two combinations of numbers that can multiply, dealing with integers, that will give us 6x squared. Okay, so we know that that's what we need to use, one of those two pairs. And then to multiply to give us c, we've got some factors of 20. We've got 1 and 20, and we've got 2 and 10, and 4 and 5. And they can be flipped, but they're still the same pairs. The reason why I know that I'm limiting to A and C is because when I multiply out and FOIL, A will be found by multiplying the first terms. So that's why I have their factors. And C will be multiplied by finding the second terms, right? Those two factors right there, well, the C terms, I should say, are the only way to multiply to give us that last term. So all we need to do now is guess and check with combinations of these. And if this factors nicely, we will end up here when we find the correct pair. Now, we already know what the answer is, but I'm going to do it as if we don't, right? So I'm erasing that answer. Oh, no. So I'm going to erase all of this. You can always rewind the video. It'll show back up magically. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to start out by just showing you how to work through this. So you start out with your parentheses, and we're just going to FOIL a lot. So let's just say that we start out with x and 6x. I know it doesn't work. We know what the answer is, but I want to show you what happens when that doesn't work. So now we're going to match this with all the combinations of these. There's 6 in total. Oh, that's a lot to go through. So this is going to be a little while, but I want to show you how you have to be patient with it. And after a while, you won't have to be patient. You'll be able to get it right away. And in a later video, I'll show you how to get it right away. So you've got 1 and 20. So we just put 1 and 20. All you have to check, the only thing you have to check, is whether or not we do the inner and outer terms. That's all you have to check, because we already know that the first f, x times 6x, will give us 6x squared. That's how we got those factors. We know that 20 times 1 can get us negative 20, so we don't have to check that. We just need to check, can I get negative 7x? This value right here. So check the outer and inner and see if they combine. It'll go very quick. 20 times x is 20x, 6x. Now we could add or subtract those. Adding them gives us 26, subtracting them gives us some version of 14. We can't get to 7 any way we do that. So actually what I have to do, believe it or not, is I have to switch them. The reason why I have to switch the 1 and the 20 is because now we'd be multiplying the 6 by 20 and the 1 by x. So switching them matters. They're not both x's. 1 times x is x. 20 times 6 is 120x. 1x and 120x won't give us negative 7. So that means that these are out, at least for now. All right, so I'll put 1 dot there. We've used them. Now we do 2 and 10. Be patient here. It's worth it. So do 2 and 10. 10x and 6 times 2 is 12x. 12x and 10x do not give us negative 7, right? So we have 12x and 10x. They could give us 2x when subtracted, or negative. They could give us positive 22x. So they're out in that order, but you got to reverse them. Now when you do this mentally, you're going to be so fast at this. So we put a 2 and a 10. That's going to give us 60x and 2x. 60x and 2x is not going to combine by adding or subtracting to give us 7. So 2 and 10's out. So now we try 4 and 5. Both ways. You're seeing where this is going, right? All right, 4 and 5. You might be like, gosh, this method stinks. You'll get faster with it. Be patient. It's foolproof. And it gets you really good at foiling. 5 times x, 4 times 6x is 24x. Adding or subtracting them, you'd either get 19x or 29x. So that order doesn't matter, doesn't work. So we'll reverse it. We'll switch them. So now we got a 5 here and a 4 there. 4x, 5 times 6x is 30x. Adding or subtracting them gives us 34 or negative 26 or positive 26. So 4 and 5 are out. We've now tried every single combination of these numbers with x and 6x, so this is out. So now what we actually have to do is we have to change our x and 6x. And we're going to make it 2x and 3x. And we work through it. Now, just to save us some time, let's go to the 4 and 5. We know that's our answer. We'd eventually get there. Let's say that I put 5 here and 4 there. 4 times 2, well, actually, here. Let's switch it up, see what happens. Let's put 4 here and 5 here. 5 times 2x is 10x. 4 times 3x is 12x. That adds to give us 22, subtracts to give us 2. That's not 7, so we switch them. So now we'll put the 5 here and the 4 here. 4 times 2 is 8x. 5 times 3 is 15x. That is 7 apart, right? If this is negative and this is positive, we would get negative 7x. Ah, how do we get plus 8? 2 times a positive 4. Negative 5 times 3. And that's it. That's our answer. And again, you might be like, oh man, Grodin, that took forever. Yes, it will take a long time at first when you're learning how to do it. But if you stay organized, all you have to do is check the outer and an inner. In the next video, I'm going to be doing this out with some organization to start in the first problem. But then I'm going to start doing it mentally, and you're going to start to see eventually the expectation of where you can go quicker with this. Be patient with it. It's foolproof. Guess and check. It's a factor. Love it.